friends! Today we are going to learn about the artist Henri Matisse. Matisse was a painter for most of his life, but as he got older, he started experimenting with a new form of artwork, paper cutouts. Paper cutout projects are fairly common today. I'm sure we've all cut pictures from magazines or newspapers to make collages, but Matisse was one of the first artists to make art in this way. Let's take a look at a few of Matisse's paper cutout collages. If you are working in a classroom setting, you could take a moment to pause the video as you scroll through the photos and talk about each piece. Notice how Matisse used organic and geometric shapes with bold, contrasting colors. Some of his collages are pictorial representations of objects that we recognize from life, but many are abstract with shapes that are unrecognizable. Matisse's collages were also very large. Sometimes they would fill an entire wall. Some of Matisse's favorite shapes remind us of objects found in nature. Many of his collages featured sea life, and we notice a use of repeated patterns and shapes in his artwork. He used strong background colors to offset his objects and cut shapes in ways that would create interesting positive and negative space. He used large colored rectangles in his background. Those would have been laid down first, and then smaller shapes over the top. See what else you notice about Matisse's artwork. Today we are going to make an easy project thinking about using contrasting colors and cutting simple but interesting abstract shapes. For this project, you will need colored construction paper, one large sheet of white construction paper. Put this aside for now. It will become our background piece later on. You'll need a glue stick or Mod Podge. I prefer a glue stick, but Mod Podge works well, especially for sealing pieces and sticking them down really tight. I don't like to use school glue because it's watery and it makes the paper curl. You'll also need a scissors or an X-Acto knife to cut out your pieces. I'm going to use a scissors today, but if you feel comfortable using an X-Acto knife for smaller cuts, go for it. We are not going to do any drawing on our collages today. Everything that we see needs to be cut from paper. But if you want to draw your shapes before you cut them, that's fine. Just make sure that you're drawing lightly so that you don't see any lines in your finished piece. We are all about cut paper today. Step 1. We want to cut some of our colored construction paper into quarter-sized pieces. You can use multiples of the same color if you like, but I like to choose at least 2 colors to show strong contrast. You can use your color wheel to help you remember complementary colors. These are opposites on the color wheel, and they show the strongest contrast when placed side by side. You can also experiment by placing colors next to one another to see how they look when they are close together before you make any cuts to your paper. Step 2. Next, we are going to think about interesting shapes that we could cut from each of these rectangles. You can cut geometric or organic shapes, but make sure that you are not making any objects for this project. We want to stay abstract today. A few tips before cutting. You should cut only 1 or 2 larger sized shapes from your rectangles, not a million tiny pieces, at least not for your first collage. Smaller pieces are harder to work with and they are also more time consuming. So start simple and work your way up to something more complicated. We are going to use all of our pieces in our collage today, even the leftovers from our quarter rectangles. So save your scraps and don't throw anything away. Since we are using all of our pieces, you should try to cut in one continuous line. You should also avoid cutting out letters, numbers, and words. It's okay to leave a few of your rectangles whole for background pieces as well. And sometimes I'll do something as simple as just cutting a line straight through my rectangle. You can try folding one of your rectangles and cutting a symmetrical shape, or cut from the side of your paper. Remember, don't throw any of your pieces away. Cut carefully so that each piece has a nice smooth edge. Step 3. When you are done cutting, grab your background paper and begin arranging your shapes on your page. Lay your largest shapes down first. These will usually be what's left of your quarter-sized papers. Don't be afraid to overlap your shapes and to try different arrangements to see what looks most interesting. When you have your largest background colors laid out, you can begin arranging your smaller shapes on top. When you have an idea of how you want your finished composition to look, you can begin gluing your shapes to your paper, or use Mod Podge to hold your shapes down. That's it! Find something that you really like about your picture and something that you might do differently the next time around. Keep experimenting with different shapes and colors to convey different ideas. In upcoming videos, we will explore other work and create more projects inspired by Henri Matisse. Thank you so much for watching and for making art with me. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to share with your friends. This project is supported in part by a grant from the North Dakota Council on the Arts, which receives funding from the state legislature and from the National Endowment for the Arts. Thank you so much to the Council for sponsoring this video and for the work that you do to get art into the North Dakota schools. If you would like to learn more about the NDCA and the Teaching Artist program, you can go to their website. I'll include a link in the video description below. You can also check out my website, sketchingspot.com, to contact me about scheduling a teaching residency at your school. And stay tuned to my channel for more videos coming soon. Cheers!